Hello, my name is Mitch and I draw Blood Force, and we're back to finish up Deathblow week with Deathblow number 3. This might be the one where something eventually happens. It hasn't happened before now. Regardless, we're going to get some more Cybernary, we're going to get some more Nigmanabat, and that's alright. Also, I'm interested in checking out some of the Tim Sale stuff, because that'll be a little different. But if you enjoy the channel, if you want to support me as an artist, what you can do is in the description there's a link to my Patreon. If you subscribe there, that'll give you access to the Blood Force issues. There's a couple now, as well as every page that comes in. Also, these videos, before they get uploaded to YouTube, usually a week or so in advance, and any process stuff, any behind the scenes, any Patreon exclusive stuff. Also, if you were to go over to Instagram, if you can DM me there, because commissions are now open if you want some artwork. But let's get into some Deathblow number 3. So, if we recall in the last one, Jim had a few things to say towards the end of the issue. So he was talking about how he can't keep up with the workload. And I mean, if he's going to admit it and he's going to try and do something about it, that's fair. I'm not going to give him any shit for that. I will give him a little bit of shit for the price here. He said he was dialing it back to $175, which he did for the Americans. On Deathblow number 2, the Canadian price was dialed down to an equivalent, $225. On this one, American price is still $175. Canadian price magically has become $240. And this is 1994. This is not when the Canadian dollar was like 2/3 of the American dollar. So that's just some bullshit. But anyway, got, of course, another Jim Lee, Frank Miller-ish cover here. Looks pretty good. I like the greats, because I got some greats coming up in Blood Force. I'm going to want to remember this. This background is nothing, but again, I could use it in that great scene. And as always with the blood, you know, like if you were to see Sin City colored, I think, with computer color, it would look like shit. It would look completely incongruous. But it really works with this stuff. Like, more so, I would say, than Jim Lee's usual stuff. It's very impressive looking. So, this is Tim Sale. So, Jim Lee couldn't keep up with the schedule. Vowed to make the book quarterly, and it looks like he got a little overzealous on that, because this is February of 1994. This is 6 months later. So we're going semi-annually. What I assume happened is Jim Lee tried to do both Wildcats and Deathblow at the same time and realized that he can't do that. He can't even do... This is Jim Lee we're talking about. He can't do one book a month, let alone a book a month plus another book every 3 months. So, eventually he threw in the towel, and he got Tim Sale, who has been around for a little while. He started in comics in 1983, but he's not a name yet. He would be in a few years. So, this is February. Deathblow number 4 comes out in April. So, they're not, they don't quite keep monthly, but they're better than quarterly. So, hey, that's something. And Tim Sale, of course, would become very popular through his books with Jeff Loeb in things like The Long Halloween and Dark Victory for Batman and Superman for All Seasons. And he also had his Marvel series with like Daredevil Yellow and Spider-Man Blue and Hulk Gray and Captain America, kind of pinkish peach color. So one of the interesting things about those books is that they're done, they're not all black and white, although some of them are, or they're monocolor, or they're done in a way where they absolutely could be black and white. They're colored with very flat colors. Because Tim Sale is very used to drawing in a black and white style, which would be rather interesting on something like Deathblow now, wouldn't it? We're not going to find out in this one, because layouts in this are done by Jim Lee. He's still insisting on keeping a hand in. So, Tim Sale doesn't really get to be imaginative or anything, and Jim Lee doesn't usually get very creative with layouts. You know, this one might not be that great. It might be issue 4 that gets better. But we're starting out in the Iraq desert, where the elite Republican Guard... Remember, this is 1994. No, we're well past. Oh, yeah, we're a couple of years past Desert Storm. Okay. But this is also the past. This is a flashback. So a couple of these Republican guards are digging in the desert. They've been told that they're supposed to dig for a site to set up for Scud missiles, so that Saddam Hussein can potentially bomb Syria. And instead they find this seal here, which they're not too happy about. So we know these are all Jim Lee layouts, and interesting use of spotting blacks here with some very quick implementation of probably a brush. That's very Frank Miller. And then their captain tells them they're very good, they found it. They don't know what they found, but what it turns out is that innocent blood is required to open the seal. And this looks, like it could be a Jim Lee layout that Tim Sale is not comfortable with executing, because it looks kind of, it doesn't look like this is something Tim Sale would ever draw. Just because it's kind of awkward compared to the rest of the stuff. And it turns out under the seal, it's a vampire. And, the blood is going to rejuvenate the vampire, but not before we get an entire wall of text. Like, this is supposed to be, I would think, horrifying, kind of give you a bit of a jolt, maybe, and just like, oh my god, like a sense of doom. And instead, it gets slowed right down so that we can explain the vampire's entire fucking backstory. After 2,000 years of imprisonment, my suffering has finally come to an end. The mystical seal locking the gates of purgatory until the final judgment day has been broken. Soon, even the impenetrable walls of this very prison shall be breached. But first, I must have time to regain my strength and plan my vengeance upon the Order of the Cross. Time to remember the brotherhood that condemned me to eternal damnation for the death of their weakened... And did you think we were done? Fuck no! Meanwhile, the Arab guards here provide the only dialogue we actually need, which is, the seal is broken. We await your bidding, master. Gotcha. And then we get kind of the... And this is a nice... okay. Jim Lee, he came up with some cool shit here, assuming he did these layouts. So that looks alright. I mean, it's not difficult to come up with, but it does look great. And well executed by Tim Sale. That all looks very nice. Again, it's a simple symmetrical layout. It's not a tough composition or anything, but can't deny it looks good. But the twist at the end of all this is that Michael Cray is going to be his messenger of death. And Michael Cray says, no! And this does look like a Jim Lee shot here. That does not. And again, big, just like gashes with the brush. Jim Lee gets a little meticulous. He's still kind of sloppy at the end of the day, but he takes his time with it. Tim Sale, by the looks of it, does not. So he's actually kind of a man after my own heart there. So Michael wakes up on a C-130, which is where I said issue 2 should have been taking place. And doesn't know where he is immediately, and tries to talk Trickle here out of the mission. Says, look, it's a trap. We're gonna get, there's someone else pulling on strings. And he's trying to say, if we go over there, we're gonna get fucked. And, we're all going to die. And he's going to talk about the nature of working for the government, where there's always somebody pulling the strings. And we've been doing this job too good for too long for you to bug out on me and start feeling guilty about this shit. It's just who we are. We're killers, plain and simple. That's why I always liked you. So I'm going to give you 3 choices. None of this has anything to do with vampires. Doesn't look like much of a Jim Lee panel, but he does pop out fairly well against everything around him here. Nothing looks particularly cool, really. I mean, there wasn't a lot in the last one that did. The first splash page at least did. And again, it looks like Tim Sale is not comfortable with just doing a giant shot of Michael Cray's face. At least not when he's working with Jim Lee's proportions. And so they get the green light, time to jump. Are you coming with us? Because, I mean, you said you would, and we put you on this plane with us. You probably should. And Michael Cray goes, I'm in. It's like, well, you fucking better be, man. And look at the size of him next to his head. This is his head. Let's count the heads. Yep. That's about right. That's about 7 heads tall. Although this all looks insane. I like the simplicity of the detail. Where there's a lot of stuff here, but it's not rendered. Which is, again, kind of in the Frank Miller style, I suppose. And that is one gigantic kind of M16. Or AR-15, or whatever. There we go, some Gen 13. And this is the newsstand edition, actually, of this. On the shitty paper, and not particularly thick cover. And it's like, I wonder what the newsstand thought of this. They might not have liked that too much. Deathblow pinup by Jim Lee. That's not a pinup, that's a repurposed ad. I've seen this before. But sure. Is it in the middle? There you go. There's ads on both sides, so you can take that out and hang that up on your wall. That's fine. And now we're going to get some more Cybernary. What's the cover look like on this one? All right. Not as intense as the other ones. Still a shit ton of black, though. And we're going to start off with a 1990s trailer voiceover. In a laboratory deep beneath Gamora, the techno-dwarves peeled away her defenses, leaving her bare for examination. They pierced her with needles and violated her with microsensors. Then they rudely invaded her neural net, poking shamelessly about for secrets. Ew. There's a ton of fucking black here. This is quite the collage here. And just, yeah, okay, we get it. I mean, like, she's already a fucking sex doll kind of robot thing. And so now they're raping the sex doll. That's fantastic. Oh, well. And she did not like this, which was weird for a nymphadroid. Okay. And because of this, we can't deinstall the personality emulation. Alright, so they put her back to sleep, and they're going to set up like an interface so that they can access her memories directly. And they've got this guy here, this little dwarf scavenger guy, who gets to be the guinea pig, even though they're not for sure if the tech is compatible. And then he gets hooked up, and that's a great outlaw shot. Everything black. This is just fantastic. The slow sort of transformation into, I guess, HK? Half Cybernary, half HK? Like, this is the kind of thing I would like to steal. Just flat out at some point. I can't imagine a situation where it would be appropriate in Blood Force, but seeing as how I'm the writer, I guess I can make that up, can't I? So, this is a heist, essentially. They're going to be robbing an armored car. Nice futuristic motorcycle. They do state in the back here that this is all present-day Gamora. And this silhouette choice is nice. Particularly with this. This looks really good. With the X's, the silhouetted X's. So, yeah, they pop the lock on the door, shoot the driver, and just run off with the truck. Easy peasy. So they're meeting up with the clan. I believe this is Cybernary here. They call her Katrina. Again, bunch of black, nice silhouette. Nice heavy shadow, too. And they're checking out the contents of the armored car. And again, Nick Manabat knows his double-page spreads. This isn't full, but he's going to make it look pretty impressive looking. And again, it has that outlaw feel to it, that underground kind of feel. But yeah, so turns out that the truck was full of high-tech weaponry. This is all HK grade. And then while they're looking through all the stuff, her partner finds this pin kind of thing. And he's like, what is this? Is this a grenade or something? I can't... And nope, it's not a grenade. It's a homing device. So the reason it was so easy to knock over the truck is because they were supposed to. So that the HKs could track their asses down and annihilate them. And big old explosion. Nice sense of scale. And yeah, HKs show up, and they're going to say what's what. This doesn't look as skilled. Some of it does. The lighting on these HKs in the back here looks good. This guy looks like it was maybe done by somebody else. Weird. Maybe he's just having an off day. I don't know. Also, the poses on these bodies doesn't have that same kind of fluidity that we've seen from his poses before this. So we've got some more death threats. I don't think that's as good as death sentences. They're just going to change it every issue, and if we get a better one. That is quite the goofy looking Deathblow there. And it looks like he mailed it 2 death threats. It was not death threats in the last issue. Is it death threats in the next issue? It is, too. They ruined death sentences. They just wasted that shit. Nice little... I take it this feels like it was done on the outside of somebody's envelope. But that looks rather nice. And then we get another Deathblow here. Done by a Nick Manabat fan. Because he's going to use all the black in the world. And here they clarify, what year does Cybernary take place in? Cybernary takes place now, which would make it 1994. Because that's just what it looks like in Gamora. Alright, and that is going to do it for Deathblow number 3. Still nothing happened in Deathblow, did it? Not really. We got some backstory. It feels like this was a tweener issue anyway. It's just that they've all kind of been tweener issues up till now. We did get 10 pages. Did we get 10 pages in Nick Manabat? It felt like maybe more. No, it was less, actually. It was only 9. All right. So he had an off week. Okay, so yeah, there's only one more issue with Nick Manabat in it. That's Deathblow number 4. And but at that point, Tim Sale will be like the full-time artist. I don't believe Jim Lee does layouts. No, it looks like Jim Lee does not do layouts in Deathblow number 4. So that'll be interesting to see what kind of compositions Tim Sale sets up on his own, given that he's more adept at black and white than Jim Lee, I think. But yeah, so that is going to do it for Deathblow. I gotta say, the first 3 issues, it's weird. I did not get this far. I did buy Deathblow number 2 at the time it came out, but not 3. I mean, it having come out 6 months later, that probably had something to do with it. But also, like, just nothing happened. Why would Deathblow be any kind of priority? You know? It looks fantastic. So at least there's that. This one, not so much. But again, I think Tim Sale is struggling a little bit with the Jim Lee layouts. So eventually we'll hit Deathblow again. And we'll see what it looks like at that point. That'll be interesting. But that's going to do it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notifications so you know when the next one's going to come out. Go follow me on Twitter. More importantly, go subscribe on Patreon. That's where all the Blood Force pages go. That's where the comics go, really. And that's also where any behind the scenes or exclusive stuff ends up, as well as these videos before they get put up on YouTube, usually a week or so in advance. Also, if you want to go over to my Instagram, you can DM me there for a commission because those are now open. But yeah, that's going to do it for the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.